What if everything you've been chasing, success, confidence, peace, has been inside you all along? What if you didn't need louder motivation, but deeper understanding? What if ancient wisdom held the answers modern life forgot? Welcome to Marcus Aurelius Stoic Resilience, where silence is power, discipline is freedom, and the calm mind is the strongest weapon of all. Here we don't shout about success, we study it through the words of the ancients, through the lessons written in struggle, through the quiet victories of self-mastery. Every reflection, every story, every word you'll hear is designed to remind you of one truth: you already have what you need to rise. The world will test your patience, your purpose, your peace. But here, we train to remain unshaken. We learn how Marcus Aurelius led an empire with calm, how Seneca found strength in stillness, and how Epictetus turned pain into purpose. This is more than a channel. It's a journey. Back to discipline, back to clarity, back to yourself. If you've ever felt lost in the noise, if you've ever craved meaning beyond motivation, you're in the right place. Breathe in, let go of the chaos. And remember, the calmest voice in the room is always the one that's already won. Welcome to Marcus Aurelius Stoic Resilience. Page 1. The power of staying silent after disrespect. What if the loudest reply was silence itself? What if every insult thrown your way became nothing more than an echo, powerless the moment you refused to answer it? And what if restraint, not reaction, was the language of real power? Every day, people test your calm. They push, provoke, and wait for the fire to escape your mouth. They expect the storm. But the ancient masters, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, knew something the modern world forgot. Silence is not surrender. It is self-command. The truth is, the moment you react in anger, you hand your control to the one who disrespected you. But when you stay still, when you breathe, observe, and choose not to engage, you take everything back. This is the lesson of composure, the wisdom of the ancients. It's not about bottling emotion, it's about mastering it. Because in a world that shouts, the one who remains silent stands tallest. So today, let's return to that power, the quiet strength that commands respect without ever raising a voice. Silence after disrespect is not weakness. It's evidence of inner control. Too often people mistake calm for fear, assuming that if you don't fight back, you've lost. But look closer. Anger is noise. Silence is focus. Think about the last time someone insulted you. A comment meant to sting, a tone meant to diminish. The instant you responded in fury, didn't you feel the energy drain from you? That's the trap. Disrespect is bait, designed to pull you into someone else's chaos. When you react, you dance to their rhythm. When you pause, you make them stumble to yours. The ancients taught that the one who rules himself rules the world. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That is the essence of silence, knowing what deserves your words and what deserves your composure. People who provoke you often crave attention. They want the satisfaction of knowing they can shake your peace. They feed on the energy you lose defending yourself. But when you stay quiet, you starve them of the reaction they crave. You leave them talking to their own echo. Silence unsettles people who live in noise. It forces them to confront themselves, to sit inside the discomfort they created. While they wrestle with guilt or confusion, you walk away intact, unshaken, untouchable. Some will say, if I don't stand up for myself, they'll think I'm weak. No, strength isn't proven by how loud you can shout. It's proven by how little you need to. Lions don't roar to prove they're lions. Their presence speaks for them. Every time you resist the urge to respond, you train mastery. You sharpen patience. You reinforce dignity. Disrespect will come from strangers, from friends, from people who misunderstand your worth. But each time it appears, you face a choice. React and lose control, or breathe and rise above. Imagine your peace as a candle in the wind. Every argument is a gust trying to blow it out. React, and the flame flickers. Remain still, and the light endures. There's power in letting others reveal themselves through their behavior while you maintain yours. In silence, you expose the noise for what it is. Emptiness, trying to sound important. Walking away doesn't mean you didn't feel the sting. It means you chose not to bleed for it. It means your peace matters more than your pride. Each act of restraint becomes a brick in the fortress of your composure. Over time, that fortress turns you into someone unbreakable. Not cold but calm, not detached, but deliberate, because silence is not the absence of feeling. It's the presence of control. Think of every person who ever tried to bring you down, who insulted you just to see your reaction. Did answering them ever truly make you feel stronger? Or did it drain your spirit, leaving you replaying their words long after the argument ended? The Stoics would tell you, you cannot control what they say, but you can always control how long it lives inside your head. And sometimes, silence says what words never could. It says, you don't have power over me. It says, your opinion doesn't define me. It says, I choose peace over chaos. The loudest victory is the one no one sees. The moment you wanted to explode, but didn't. Disrespect is temporary. Your dignity is permanent. Don't trade one for the other. You are not defined by the noise around you. You are defined by what you protect within you. And the person who keeps their peace in moments of chaos is the rarest, most dangerous kind of strong. Let others talk. Let them misunderstand. Let them fill the air with noise. The longer you stay still, the clearer truth becomes. Because time, not argument, reveals everything. The one who keeps his composure always wins. Not because the world hands him victory, but because he never surrendered his control. So the next time someone disrespects you, pause. Let their words hang in the air like smoke while you breathe through the silence. Don't chase the fire. Let it burn out on its own. You'll see, silence doesn't just protect your peace, it multiplies it. And in that stillness, your power grows quietly, unshakably, because strength isn't in reacting, it's in remaining. And that is where page 2 begins, turning silence into strategy and stillness into unstoppable momentum. Page 2. The discipline of composure, turning silence into power. In the last reflection, we learned that silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom under control. You don't lose power when you choose not to respond. You gain it. Because silence, when used with intention, isn't retreat. It's strategy. Now let's go deeper. What actually happens when you stay quiet after disrespect? How does silence, that invisible force, begin to turn chaos into clarity and pain into power? The ancients understood self-restraint is not passive. It is the most active form of strength. It's the art of directing your energy, not wasting it. When someone disrespects you, they're testing your emotional gates, looking for a crack to slip through. They want to see you stumble, to make you lose composure, to prove they can reach you. But when you remain still, when your face stays calm and your voice steady, something remarkable happens. The power they thought they had over you disappears. That moment of silence becomes a mirror. Suddenly, they're forced to face themselves. Their noise echoes back at them, sharp, hollow, embarrassing. People often fear silence because it exposes truth. It removes the distractions, the excuses, the drama, and all that's left is the weight of their own words. That's why silence works. It doesn't fight back, but it wins by letting time reveal what words would only complicate. The Stoics called this the strength of restraint, the discipline to remain unmoved in the face of provocation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone wrongs you, do not return the wrong. The injury is theirs, not yours." He wasn't preaching submission, he was teaching mastery, because to master yourself is to master every situation. When you argue with someone who thrives on chaos, you lose twice, once by giving them your attention, and again by losing your peace. Silence prevents both losses. It's not about ignoring disrespect, it's about refusing to let it redirect your energy. Imagine your peace like a pool of still water. Every insult thrown at you is a stone. If you react, you dive in after it, disturbing your own calm. But if you stay still, the stone sinks on its own, the ripples fade, and your reflection remains unbroken. That's composure, not detachment, but control. You're not pretending the insult didn't hurt. You're deciding it's not worth the cost of reaction. People who constantly seek conflict don't want resolution. They want control. They poke, provoke and prod, waiting for you to flinch, because the moment you do, they win. They drag you down into their emotional storm, where logic can't survive and pride takes over. But silence refuses that invitation. It says, "You don't decide how I feel. You don't deserve my energy." And that's where true power begins, not in dominance, but in distance. You don't fight back. You rise above. You don't explain. You demonstrate. Your calm becomes their confusion. The quiet person in the argument always wins, not because they said more, but because they said less with meaning. You've seen it before, one person shouting, the other standing still. The one who yells looks foolish. The one who listens looks powerful. That's the paradox of silence. It speaks louder than noise ever could. So when someone throws disrespect your way, pause. Not out of fear, but out of precision. Every second you don't speak, you reclaim control. Let your silence say what your words never could. I'm not lowering myself to this level. I have nothing to prove. I'm focused on things that matter. This is the highest form of emotional intelligence, the ability to remain centered when everything around you is trying to pull you off balance. Disrespect thrives on reaction. It feeds on your frustration, your defensiveness, your pride. The less you give it, the faster it starves. You're not avoiding confrontation. You're outgrowing it. You're protecting your focus, preserving your energy for what truly deserves it. Because every moment you waste arguing is a moment stolen from your peace. Ask yourself, How many dreams were delayed because someone couldn't walk away from small fights? How many goals went unfinished because energy was wasted on proving a point? The Stoic mind understands. Not every insult deserves a reply. Some words are meant to test your patience, not your worth. When you choose silence, you fail their test. And that's how you win. There's an elegance in silence, a confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. The truly strong don't seek validation through confrontation. They know who they are, and they let time do the talking, because silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is happening within you. You're analyzing, learning, growing, becoming unshakable. Every silent moment strengthens the wall between your peace and their chaos. And when you finally speak, your words carry weight, because they were forged in patience. Silence gives your words power. If you speak all the time, your voice becomes noise. But if you speak rarely with calm and conviction, the world listens. That's how the ancients lived, deliberate, thoughtful, controlled, every word a weapon, every silence a shield. So the next time you feel disrespected, remember, you don't have to fight every battle. Sometimes the greatest victory is walking away untouched, unshaken, unreadable, because silence isn't emptiness. It's energy in reserve. It's patience waiting for the right moment. It's power learning to speak through presence, not words. And that's where our next reflection begins. How silence doesn't just protect your peace, but transforms it into influence. The art of unsettling your critics and commanding respect without ever raising your voice. Page 3. The echo of silence, when quiet becomes influence. In the last moment we learned that silence is energy in reserve, strength that waits, not weakness that hides. Now we step into its next form, influence. Because when you master silence, you begin to master others, not by control, but by contrast. The quiet mind becomes magnetic. It pulls attention without asking, respect without demanding. The psychology of stillness. People fear what they can't read. The one who stays calm while others rage confuses them. Your silence becomes a riddle. They can't solve. Why aren't they reacting? What do they know that I don't? That confusion is power, not arrogance. Presence. It shifts the balance. Suddenly, the one who disrespected you loses rhythm. They start explaining, justifying, apologizing to fill the silence you created. The ancients called this measured dignity. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Freedom begins the moment you stop being moved by provocation. Every unspoken word becomes authority. Every calm breath becomes gravity, and the longer you stay composed, the louder your character speaks. The weight of composure. Imagine two generals before a battle. One shouts orders, veins visible, fury spilling. The other stands in still focus, giving commands with quiet precision. Who would you follow? Every soul seeks the one who radiates control. That is what silence does. It establishes hierarchy without declaration. It says, I'm not here to compete, I'm here to command myself. And when you command yourself, the world begins to listen. Turning insults into echoes. When words of disrespect are hurled, they travel like arrows, but only if you give them a target. Refuse to react, and they fall harmlessly to the ground. The person who threw them grows uneasy, their voice grows weaker, their certainty dissolves. because every insult left unanswered becomes a reflection of the one who spoke it. Time always sides with the calm. Eventually, truth echoes louder than accusation. Silence allows that echo to form. The power shift. At first, silence feels defensive, but stay with it, and you realize it's offensive. Strategic patience, like a seasoned warrior waiting for the opponent to exhaust himself. You aren't avoiding the fight, you're winning before it begins. The one who reacts burns energy, the one who waits collects it. By the time the noise dies, you remain centered, fresh, focused, unscarred. That is how stillness becomes supremacy. It's not loud, it's lasting. The discipline of measured speech. The Stoics valued logon kratian, control over speech. They believed that words are arrows once released. You can't recall them, so speak little, but with weight. Every sentence should feel sculpted, deliberate. Even your pauses should hold presence. Marcus wrote, "Let your speech be good and few." He didn't mean silence forever. He meant silence until meaning appears. When you finally speak after being quiet, people lean in, because silence gave your words scarcity, and scarcity creates value. The silent leader. Look at history's strongest figures. They didn't rant, they radiated. They led by composure, not chaos. The same applies to you. In your home, at work, in your circle, people read your energy before your words. If your energy is calm, your presence instructs without teaching. That's leadership, the art of commanding through stillness. Every time you hold your peace, you're teaching others how to find theirs. Silence as revenge. Revenge tempts every human heart. We want those who hurt us to feel the sting we felt, but the greatest revenge is becoming unbothered. When you stay silent, you starve drama of oxygen. Nothing confuses or disarms an aggressor faster than indifference. Let them watch your growth. Let them hear of your peace. Let them see success arrive quietly while they are still busy arguing. That is vengeance, the Stoic way. Elevation, not retaliation. Silence and time. Silence is not inaction. It's collaboration with time. Time reveals what pride tries to hide. Those who disrespected you will eventually face their own echoes. You don't have to expose them. Their behavior will do it for you. All you have to do is keep walking calmly, consistently forward. Patience is the language through which justice speaks. Inner monologue of the Stoic. When disrespected, whisper inwardly, "This moment cannot steal my control. Their words belong to them, not to me. I'm not required to join every argument I'm invited to. Repeat it until reaction turns to reflection, until peace becomes your natural reflex. That's when silence stops being an effort and becomes identity. By now, your silence is more than restraint. It's influence. You've learned that control of tongue leads to command of destiny. But mastery doesn't end there. Next, we explore how silence evolves into healing, how forgiveness, compassion, and wisdom rebuild what anger once destroyed. Because the same calm that protects your dignity can also restore your heart. That's where page 4 begins. The quiet art of forgiveness, turning pain into peace. Page 4. The quiet art of forgiveness, turning pain into peace. By now you've seen how silence unsettles chaos and turns noise into your echo. You've learned that every unspoken word can become a fortress. But what happens after the storm? After silence has done its work, after anger cools, what remains inside you? The next lesson is softer, but no less powerful. Forgiveness, because the silence that protects your peace must eventually heal your heart. Forgiveness is not surrender. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. People think it means pretending nothing happened, letting someone off easily, but the Stoics saw it differently. Forgiveness is not approval. It is release. It's choosing to let go of what no longer deserves space in your mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." That is forgiveness in motion. You rise above, not to prove superiority, but to preserve serenity. When you stay quiet after disrespect, the noise fades outside, but echoes remain inside. Resentment whispers long after insults fall silent. That's the second battle, the one within. The second battle, the mind. The first battle was external, not reacting. The second is internal, not reliving. Each time you replay the offense, you reopen the wound. Each time you imagine what you should have said, you feed what you already defeated. Forgiveness closes that loop. It says, this moment is over. It no longer deserves my energy. To forgive is to stop renting space in your mind to someone who has already left the room. Forgiveness as strength. Some think holding a grudge is strength, that keeping the memory alive proves pride. But grudges weigh more than they guard. They turn wisdom into worry and peace into poison. It takes courage to let go. Cowards hold anger because anger feels powerful. The brave release it because peace feels eternal. When you forgive, you reclaim focus. All that energy once spent on resentment now fuels growth, art, patience, and purpose. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's resource management for the soul. The perspective of the ancients. The Stoics practiced something called premeditatio malorum, imagining wrongs before they happened. They would ask, who will insult me today? Who will test me? And by expecting imperfection, they diffused it. When disrespect arrived, they were already calm. They didn't take it personally, because they understood. Every action springs from the actor's nature, not yours. You forgive not because they were right, but because you choose not to carry their mistakes any farther. The alchemy of pain. Pain is information. It tells you where boundaries exist, what values matter, what growth still awaits. But when pain overstays, it becomes identity. Forgiveness transforms it back into wisdom. Every insult endured becomes a lesson in empathy. Every betrayal faced becomes practice in patience. Every wound that heals quietly becomes evidence of your evolution. The alchemist turns lead into gold. The Stoic turns hurt into harmony, letting people be who they are. You can't control another's maturity. You can only decide how long you stand in the shadow of their behavior. Some will never apologize. Others will never understand. Let them. Your forgiveness doesn't depend on their awareness. It depends on your freedom. You forgive to move forward, not to fix them. And sometimes walking away is forgiveness, not a door slammed in anger, but one quietly closed so peace can stay inside. The healing silence. There's a sacred stillness that follows forgiveness. It's quieter than anger, lighter than pride. You start hearing yourself again, the real you, the calm one who existed before offense. In that silence, you realize nothing external ever truly broke you, only attachment did. The need to be understood, to be seen as right. Letting that go is liberation. Forgiveness is not an act. It's a return to balance, to clarity, to yourself, reflection. Exercise for the mind. When anger rises again, ask yourself 3 questions. Will this matter a year from now? Is this teaching me something new or repeating an old lesson? What does holding this feeling cost my peace? If the answer to the last question is too much, release it immediately. Peace is priceless. Resentment is expensive. The unsaid apology. Not every story ends with closure. Sometimes the apology never comes. Sometimes the person who hurt you doesn't even notice. That's fine. The apology you truly need is the one you give yourself for staying angry too long, for letting others live rent-free in your heart. Once you forgive yourself for that, external apologies lose meaning. You stop waiting for justice and start creating joy. Action through forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't passive. It's performance art for the spirit. It changes how you walk, how you speak, how you breathe. You no longer rush to defend yourself. Because your dignity defends you. You no longer react to provocation. Because your purpose is louder than pride. The calmest person in the room holds the most power, not because they control others, but because they control their atmosphere. Your forgiveness radiates. It softens those who once feared your silence and reminds them peace is contagious. Forgiveness and future focus. Once you let go, you make space for new strength. The energy once trapped in old wounds fuels new victories. Those who hurt you become invisible architects of your resilience. Every challenge they brought forged something unbreakable in you. So thank them not aloud but silently as you move past them. Because what was meant to weaken you became your training ground. Forgiveness ends the cycle of reaction. It returns you to freedom, and in that freedom, a new discipline begins. The art of moving forward with focus, gratitude, and quiet purpose. On the next page, we'll step into that horizon, how calm becomes clarity, how gratitude fuels greatness, and how stillness transforms into unstoppable momentum. Because silence, once healed by forgiveness, doesn't just protect peace, it builds empires within. Page 5. Rebuilding through calm, the Stoic path of focus and gratitude. Forgiveness frees the heart, but freedom means little without direction. Now that you've released what was heavy, the question becomes, where will you aim your strength next? Silence without purpose becomes emptiness, but silence guided by purpose becomes power. And that's what the ancients understood. The calm after forgiveness is not the end, it's the beginning. It's the space where you begin to rebuild, quietly, deliberately, like a craftsman shaping his masterpiece from stone. The calm after the storm. Peace feels strange when you've lived too long in chaos. It's almost uncomfortable, like waking up in a world without noise. Your instincts still expect conflict. Your body still braces for disrespect that never comes. That's normal. Stillness takes practice. The mind addicted to reaction will crave drama, but discipline will keep it clean. This is the moment to redirect your focus, to pour energy back into yourself, your growth, your path, because when you finally stop giving your attention to what drains you, you'll realize how much life you still have left to build. The power of focus. Focus is the soul's compass. It decides what your energy becomes. When Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome, surrounded by war and politics, he wrote to himself each morning, Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. He understood. Distraction is the enemy of discipline. If you let disrespect, gossip, or ego hijack your attention, you'll spend your life reacting instead of creating. The Stoic path demands you choose your focus like you choose your company, carefully, intentionally, and rarely. Every distraction is a leak in the vessel of your purpose. Seal it with silence. When you concentrate all your energy on one pursuit, growth, peace, purpose, your progress becomes unstoppable. Because energy scattered is noise. Energy focused is music, the mirror of gratitude. Once your focus is clear, gratitude becomes your lens. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about noticing what's already working. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Gratitude turns trials into teachers. It transforms what you have into enough, and enough into abundance. Start small. Be grateful for the calm moments that once felt impossible. Be grateful that you know. Longer chase people who never respected you. Be grateful that silence taught you self-control, because that lesson will serve you for life. When gratitude fills the mind, envy and bitterness have no room to live there. The grace of moving on. Moving on is not the same as forgetting. It's remembering without pain. It's carrying memory like a stone in your pocket. Light, smooth, no longer sharp. You still recall the lesson, but it no longer bleeds. Every time you walk away from negativity, you teach your nervous system peace. You remind yourself that chaos is not your home. Calm is. People may still test you. They may still talk, but your silence will speak before they finish their sentence, and your progress will answer for you. The balance between action and acceptance to the Stoic. Balance is not standing still. It's movement with awareness. It's working without rushing. It's caring deeply without clinging. It's giving effort without expecting applause. Your job is not to control outcomes. It's to control input, your discipline, your choices, your reactions. Let the results take care of themselves. The farmer plants the seed and walks away. He does not scream at the soil to grow faster. So too, your life will unfold when you stop forcing and start flowing. When you move with calm intention, everything aligns in time. The quiet fire of purpose after silence, after forgiveness. There is purpose, the quiet fire that replaces reaction. It's the force that keeps you steady when others doubt you. It's the reason you rise before the world wakes. Purpose doesn't shout. It glows. It hums in your discipline, your patience, your small, consistent acts. People may not notice it at first, but they will feel it, because the one who moves with purpose doesn't need to announce anything. His calm makes others curious. His silence makes others listen. That's the quiet authority of the Stoic. No ego, just energy aligned, rebuilding your world. Every time you resist negativity, you build peace. Every time you practice gratitude, you build joy. Every time you focus on what you can control, you build power. One act at a time. Your silence becomes structure. It becomes the foundation of a life that no insult can shake. And when you look back, you'll realize every wound taught you something that ease never could. You'll see that disrespect was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to direct you. The moment you stopped reacting, you started rebuilding. Daily practice. The Stoic reset. Each morning before the noise begins, take 1 minute to reset. Sit in silence, breathe deeply, ask yourself, what truly deserves my energy today? If the answer isn't clear, do nothing until it is. That pause, that awareness, will save you from 1,000 wasted words, because silence used with intention is not emptiness. It's focus sharpening itself. Your silence has become strength. Your forgiveness has become freedom. Your gratitude has become growth. Now it's time to channel all of it into one higher state. Resilience, because no matter how centered we become, life will test that calm. Storms will return, challenges will rise, and the question will remain, can you stay still when the ground shakes? That's where page 6 begins. The fortress within, how Stoic resilience turns struggle into strength. Page 6, the fortress within, how Stoic resilience turns struggle into strength. You've learned how silence protects peace, how forgiveness restores freedom, and how gratitude rebuilds the mind. Now, we arrive at the test that defines every Stoic. Resilience, the art of staying whole while life tries to fracture you, because calm means nothing until it's challenged. Peace is proven in pressure, and dignity is measured not by how gently you stand, but by how you stand when the wind begins to roar. Resilience is the final form of calm. Resilience isn't born from comfort, it's forged in chaos. You don't become strong by avoiding storms. You become strong by walking through them without losing yourself. Marcus Aurelius led an empire through war, disease, and betrayal, yet his writings remain calm, gentle, deliberate. How? Because he learned to see suffering not as punishment, but as preparation. Every hardship was training for virtue. You don't control what happens, but you always control what it means. That is Stoic resilience, interpreting pain as purpose. The world will test you. At some point, life will test the silence you've built. It will send disrespect, loss, and misunderstanding to your doorstep, not to break you, but to prove how far you've come. People will misjudge you. Some will envy you. Others will try to disturb your stillness just to see if they can. Let them. Every test is a mirror, not a verdict. It shows you where peace remains and where pride still lingers. Each time you stay grounded, you reinforce your fortress. Resilience is not built in the moment you react. It's built in the moment you refuse to. Turning pressure into power. Think of your mind as stone under a sculptor's hand. Every challenge, every insult, every trial, a chisel stroke shaping your endurance. If you resist, you crack. If you accept, you become art. The Stoic does not fight the sculptor. He endures the carving because he sees beauty beyond the blade. When pain arrives, whisper to yourself, this is part of the shaping. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. That mindset transforms everything. Where others see chaos, you see training. Where others break, you bend and rise. Pain as teacher. Pain has always been life's most honest teacher. It strips away illusion, ego, and weakness until only truth remains. You can read about strength forever, but only struggle lets you feel it. You can imagine peace in theory, but only pressure proves it's real. That's why the ancients didn't pray for easier lives. They prayed for stronger hearts. They didn't wish for less struggle. They wished for more wisdom to meet it. Your scars are not shame. They're scriptures written in the language of endurance. Each one says, I fell, But I rose, I lost, but I learned. I was tested, but I transformed. The fortress mindset. The Stoics imagined the mind as a fortress, tall walls of reason, guarded gates of self-control. Nothing enters without inspection. No insult climbs the wall without permission. Your job is to protect that fortress, not by isolation, but by discipline. Every time you remain calm under attack, you reinforce the walls. Every time you forgive instead of fight, you strengthen the foundation. Every time you keep walking instead of reacting, the fortress grows taller, and soon, storms that once shook you will only make you stronger. Resilience is not resistance. Don't confuse resilience with suppression. You don't have to hide your pain to prove your strength. Resilience is not pretending nothing hurts. It's understanding that hurt cannot define you. It's saying, yes, this wounded me, but it will not own me. It's feeling everything, then deciding what deserves to stay. Because what defines you is not what happens to you. It's what happens through you. Every time you endure and keep your character intact, you prove mastery over life itself. The Stoic reflection practice. Each night before rest, ask yourself, what tested my patience today? Did I lose control, or did I hold it? What can I do better tomorrow? This reflection isn't judgment. It's growth. It's the Stoic sharpening his sword for the next sunrise. Resilience isn't one grand act. It's 1,000 small recoveries. Each day, you fall and rise again. Each day, your calm returns quicker, your reactions fade sooner, your wisdom grows deeper. That's the rhythm of mastery, not perfection, but progression. When the world tries to break you, there will be times when silence feels impossible, when you want to shout, strike, or defend. That's when you remember calm isn't what you do. It's who you are becoming. You're not denying emotion. You're guiding it. You're not rejecting anger. You're refining it into patience. Let others break their peace for the sake of ego. You've learned that ego is the enemy of endurance. You no longer need to prove anything. Let your composure be your proof. The Stoic reward. When you practice resilience long enough, something extraordinary happens. The noise of the world stops mattering. Criticism loses weight. Praise loses pressure. You begin to live from the inside out. Your emotions no longer depend on conditions. They depend on choice. That's the highest freedom a human can earn. Freedom not from life, but from being ruled by it. That is the reward of silence. Forgiveness, focus, and resilience combined. Unshakable peace. Your silence began as defense, then it became strategy, then wisdom. And now, through resilience, it becomes identity. But there's one final layer of mastery, the art of detachment. To live fully in the world, yet not be owned by it. To engage without clinging, to love without losing yourself. That is where page 7 begins. Detachment, purpose, and the freedom of letting go. Page 7. Detachment, purpose, and the freedom of letting go. By now, you've built the fortress within. Silence became your shield. Resilience became your foundation. Now it's time to step outside those walls, not to abandon your peace, but to carry it into the world, because the final stage of Stoic strength is not endurance, It's detachment, the ability to live fully and love deeply, yet remain free from possession, to move through life with open hands, holding everything, clinging to nothing, the paradox of possession. The more tightly you hold what you love, the more it slips away, the more you chase control, the more chaos grows. But when you release your grip, peace returns like air to lungs. The ancients understood this paradox. Epictetus said, "When you kiss your child, say to yourself, tomorrow they may die," not from pessimism, but from awareness. He wanted you to see clearly. Everything you love is borrowed, not owned. That's the essence of detachment, gratitude without grasping. It doesn't mean not caring. It means caring wisely. Freedom through acceptance. Attachment breeds anxiety. You cling to how things should be. Instead of accepting what is, you try to control outcomes that were never yours to control. But freedom begins the moment you accept impermanence. That job, that relationship, that success, all temporary, and yet that's what makes them beautiful, like sand through fingers. Life must be held gently. Grip it too tightly, and it breaks. Open your hand, and you'll feel it flow, soft, fleeting. Sacred, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment. That is how the wise live, grateful for everything, dependent on nothing." The detachment of the Stoic mind. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means being so grounded that external events can no longer shake your inner world. When something leaves your life, you bow, not in defeat but in understanding. When something enters, you welcome it, not as a possession, but as a gift. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and begin saying, "What is this teaching me?" That's detachment in practice. Emotion purified by perspective. You can still feel deeply, but you no longer drown in feeling. You can still love fiercely, but you no longer lose yourself in love. That balance between heart and mind, between passion and peace, is the signature of the Stoic soul. Purpose, the anchor of freedom. Without purpose, detachment becomes drifting. Without direction, freedom becomes emptiness. That's why the Stoics paired detachment with duty. To them, freedom wasn't escape. It was alignment. To be free was to act according to nature. Reason and virtue. Marcus Aurelius ruled not for glory, but for duty. He woke each morning and wrote, "At dawn, when you rise unwillingly, remember, you were born to work as a human being." Purpose gives meaning to silence. It turns calm into contribution. It makes peace productive. Your purpose doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be genuine. It's whatever calls you to serve something larger than ego, creation, kindness, mastery, truth. When you find that calling, you no longer cling to outcomes. You do your part, and you let the universe handle the rest. The Stoic flow, action without attachment. The Stoic acts without anxiety for results. He does his work fully, but releases expectation. He plants the seed, waters it, and walks away, knowing nature will take over. This is freedom in motion, discipline without obsession. You're no longer enslaved by success or fear of failure, because both are just different disguises of attachment. Let go of needing to win every time, and you'll begin to learn every time. Let go of needing to be understood, and you'll finally be at peace. Detachment doesn't rob you of joy, it protects it. You enjoy everything more because you know it's temporary. You love more freely because you know You cannot own what you cherish. How to practice detachment daily, every day. Life will tempt you to cling again to opinions, possessions, people, outcomes. When that happens, practice these 3 steps. Pause. Breathe before reacting. See the situation for what it is, not what you fear it means. Reflect. Ask, is this within my control? If not, release it. Return. Focus your energy on what endures, your values, your discipline, your peace. Repeat that cycle enough, and detachment becomes your second nature. Letting go is liberation. There's a sacred power in walking away, not out of pride, but out of peace. Let go of arguments that lead nowhere. Let go of people who drain your calm. Let go of identities that no longer fit the person you're becoming. Every time you release something unnecessary, your spirit grows lighter. You begin to see how little you need to feel complete. That's the Stoic secret. Happiness through subtraction. Not adding more, but needing less. When you release attachment, even pain becomes purpose. Even endings become beginnings. Even loss becomes learning. The unbothered mind. There's a moment when you realize nothing outside of you can truly harm you unless you invite it in. The insult, the rejection, the failure, they stop at the gate of your perception. You decide what enters. That's the freedom no one can take, because once you master your response, you master your reality. Let the world shout, let the noise rise and fade. You will still be here in the calm, centered, watching the chaos pass like clouds across an eternal sky. The beauty of non-resistance. You no longer fight every storm. You sail with the wind. You no longer demand perfection. You flow with what is. You no longer resist change. You embrace it as nature's rhythm. This is the peak of Stoic wisdom, to cooperate with life, not to conquer it, to realize that peace was never something to find. It was something to remember. The Stoic doesn't escape the world. He engages with it fully, gracefully, without losing his center. He becomes like water, strong, adaptable, unstoppable. You began this journey learning how to stay silent after disrespect. Through silence, you found peace. Through forgiveness, you found freedom. Through focus, you found clarity. Through resilience, you found strength. And through detachment, you found true liberation. Now in the final chapter, we gather all of it, the wisdom, the struggle, the serenity, into one eternal truth. The Stoic mindset never ends. It simply deepens. Page 8 begins our grand reflection, the eternal Stoic, living beyond emotion, beyond time, beyond self. Page 8, the eternal Stoic, living beyond emotion, beyond time, beyond self. You have walked the path of silence. You have forgiven, focused, endured, and let go. Now, there is nothing left to control, only something to become. The ancients called this final awakening ataraxia, the unshakable stillness of the soul. It is not the end of struggle, but the mastery of response. It is the moment when you no longer chase peace because you are peace. The eternal mind. The Stoic knows that time destroys all things, and therefore, he fears nothing. He sees life as a wave on an endless ocean, rising, falling, dissolving back into the whole. He does not cling to the crest, nor dread the crash. He flows. You are that wave. Every breath you take belongs to eternity. Every silence you hold is a conversation with the universe. The mind anchored in reason becomes timeless. It no longer measures success by applause or failure by pain. It simply is what awake, aware, aligned. When you reach this place, there is no need to prove, to argue, to defend. You have outgrown the noise. You live from within. Beyond emotion, emotions still come. Anger, fear, joy, love. But they pass through you like wind through open doors. They are guests, not masters. You greet each one, listen to its lesson, and let it go. This is not coldness. It is clarity. To feel without being ruled by feeling, that is emotional freedom. To love without ownership, to grieve without despair, to hope without dependency. That is wisdom. You don't suppress emotion, you refine it into understanding. Like fire controlled in a forge, emotion becomes the heat that tempers virtue. Without it, you would never glow. Beyond judgment. In the beginning, silence was your weapon. Now it is your nature. You no longer judge the world for being chaotic. You simply see it as unfinished. Every person, every moment, every mistake, still in the process of becoming. You stop labeling things as good or bad. They simply are. You take what serves virtue and release what doesn't. Judgment dissolves. Compassion expands. You realize everyone you meet is fighting an invisible war, just as you once did. So you walk softly, powerful yet gentle. Beyond ego, ego once demanded attention, validation, victory. Now you see it for what it is, a restless shadow begging for light. The Stoic doesn't destroy the ego. He tames it. He teaches it humility, gratitude, and patience. He allows success, but never worships it. He acknowledges failure, but never fears it. Ego seeks to conquer. The Stoic seeks to contribute. Ego asks, how do I look? The Stoic asks, did I live with virtue? When ego dissolves, service remains, and service to truth, to purpose, to humanity, becomes the purest joy, the legacy of stillness. When you master yourself, you influence others without effort. Your calm becomes their mirror. Your steadiness becomes their shelter. You teach not by preaching, but by being. Your silence reminds others that dignity doesn't shout. Your composure shows them that peace is possible even in a world built on noise. This is how legacies are born, not from monuments, but from moments of quiet strength that ripple outward long after you are gone. One day, someone will face disrespect, pain, or fear, and they will remember you and how calmly you carried yourself. That is immortality, leaving echoes of wisdom in the hearts of others. The sacred ordinary, the Stoic, finds eternity not in distant heavens, but in daily life, in washing his hands, in breathing morning air, in the small act done well. Without complaint, you don't need temples to worship. Your discipline is your temple. You don't need rituals to find peace. Your awareness is the ritual. Every task becomes sacred when done with intention. That's the final lesson. Greatness is not in grand gestures, but in consistent calm, in showing up each day, steady, silent, sincere, the return to self. After all the lessons, you return home, not to the house you live in, but to the awareness behind your thoughts, the part of you that watched everything, that endured every test. It was there all along, waiting behind the noise. You realize you never had to become the Stoic. You only had to remember that you already were. The silence you sought was never absence. It was your essence. The final reflection, the prophecy of the inner self. The beginning remembered. At the start of this journey, you were searching for answers, for strength, for a way to hold your composure when the world tested you. You learned that silence was not surrender, but command, that the loudest voice in the room means nothing if the mind behind it is enslaved by emotion. You discovered that the real battle has never been against others. It has always been within yourself. The ancients whispered this truth across time. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. And through their words, you began to see every moment of restraint is an act of mastery. Every quiet decision, an act of power. From noise to nobility, you walked through the noise, the insults, the misunderstanding, the chaos, and you did not break. Instead, you built something invisible yet unshakable, your composure. You learned that control isn't about domination, it's about direction. The one who directs his mind can survive any storm. The one who reacts blindly becomes a prisoner of every wave. When disrespect came, you didn't descend to its level. You stood taller, quieter, anchored by discipline. And that was the first prophecy fulfilled, the moment you became the author of your own peace. The second lesson, pain as a teacher. You faced pain not as punishment, but as instruction. Every failure carved wisdom into your bones. Every wound rewrote your understanding of strength. You stopped asking, "Why me?" and started asking, "What is this showing me?" That shift changed everything, because Stoicism was never about avoiding pain. It was about transforming it. Fire tests gold, and hardship tests the soul, and in that testing, you found something no comfort could ever give. Clarity. The prophecy of your own potential began to reveal itself through suffering, not the kind written in stars, but the kind you forge through endurance. For destiny is not discovered, it is disciplined into existence. The third lesson, forgiveness and freedom. Then came the lesson of letting go. Forgiveness, not as mercy for others, but as liberation for yourself. You learned that holding on to anger keeps the wound open, while silence and release let the soul breathe again. In forgiving, you didn't excuse what was done. You simply refused to carry it anymore. You realized that peace cannot coexist with poison, and so you drained it, slowly, deliberately, until calm replaced resentment. That was the second prophecy fulfilled. When you stopped fighting the past, the future found you waiting. The fourth lesson, focus and gratitude. With calm restored, your eyes opened wider. You saw how distraction steals destiny, how every reaction to chaos is a withdrawal from purpose. You began to guard your attention like a treasure. Every breath, every thought, every task became deliberate. Focus became your prayer. Gratitude became your grounding, and in that awareness, you found abundance. Not in having more, but in needing less. You stopped waiting for miracles and started noticing them. The sunrise that didn't need your permission, the breath that arrives without command, the quiet proof that life itself is the greatest gift. The fifth lesson, resilience and renewal. When storms returned, and they always do, you didn't panic. You remembered, calm is not built by avoiding the storm, but by learning to sail through it. You let the waves crash. You let the thunder speak, but your mind remained your own. That's the mark of a Stoic. To feel the hit and still stand tall. to watch things fall apart and still choose discipline over despair. Resilience became your rhythm. You no longer saw challenges as curses, but as invitations, opportunities to rise again, stronger, steadier, wiser. The sixth lesson, detachment and purpose. Then you discovered detachment, the freedom born from release. You realized that everything you cling to eventually owns. Dan, the only way to love purely is to love without chains. You learn to act with purpose and let go of outcome. You worked not for applause, but for alignment. You became free not by escaping the world, but by engaging with it without losing your center. Purpose became your North Star. Steady, silent, guiding you through confusion, it whispered, "Do what is right. Let go of the rest." The seventh lesson, the eternal mind. Finally, you return to stillness, not the silence of absence, but the silence of mastery. The world still speaks, but you no longer rush to answer. You no longer chase control, because you have found something greater. Acceptance. You stand between past and future, fully present, fully aware. Nothing owns you now. Not praise, not criticism, not desire, not fear. The mind that once trembled now watches calmly as life unfolds, moment by moment, perfectly imperfect. That is the final prophecy, the discovery that peace was never out there. It was waiting inside you all along, the gift of the journey. This journey wasn't about becoming someone new. It was about remembering who you were before. The world made you doubt your strength. Silence reminded you of your control. Pain reminded you of your endurance. Forgiveness reminded you of your freedom. Gratitude reminded you of your blessings. Resilience reminded you of your courage. Detachment reminded you of your wholeness. And together, they brought you home to yourself. You became the calm you were seeking. You became the peace you were praying for. You became the strength you once admired in others. The call to the listener. So now, as this reflection draws to a close, remember, life will test you again. Disrespect will come. Disappointment will visit. But this time, you will meet them differently. You will no longer react from emotion, but respond from mastery. You will no longer beg for peace. You will be peace. You will no longer need to shout. Your presence will speak louder than words, because the true Stoic warrior doesn't conquer the world. He conquers the need to conquer, and that victory is eternal. Closing benediction. Walk now in silence, but not in solitude, for the ancients walk with you. Marcus, Seneca, Epictetus, their wisdom burns in your breath. Their courage echoes in your calm. Every challenge you face will remind you of them, and every act of restraint will remind you of who you've become. Let the world roar. Let time move as it must. You stay grounded, stay grateful, stay stoic, because the prophecy has already been fulfilled. You have mastered yourself, and that is everything. Final meditation. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, feel the weight of the world slide off your shoulders. You are here, alive, aware. Nothing to prove, nothing to chase, nothing to fear. The world outside may still roar, but within you, the fortress stands, the flame burns. Steady, the peace endures, every insult forgiven, every wound transformed, every silence sacred. This is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your mastery. You have walked with the ancients. You have learned their timeless wisdom. Now walk into your own life carrying their light. Let silence be your sword. Let virtue be your armor. Let gratitude be your crown. And when the world tests you again, as it surely will, smile quietly, because now you no longer need to shout to prove. Strength, you are strength. You are the storm that doesn't move. You are the mountain that doesn't bend. You are the calm that reminds the world what peace looks like. This is Marcus Aurelius Stoic Resilience, where ancient wisdom becomes modern power. Thank you for walking this path with us. If this message brought you even a moment of calm, of strength, or of clarity, welcome home. Every reflection here is a reminder that peace isn't found. It's practiced. That strength isn't loud. It's steady. And that the ancient wisdom of the Stoics still breathes through each quiet act of discipline we choose today. This journey doesn't end. It deepens. Each day, each thought, each silence is another step toward mastery. So, stay connected with us here, not for noise, but for stillness, not for escape, but for understanding. Together, we walk the same road the ancients once walked, calmly, wisely, purposefully. See you in the next chapter.